a cycling holiday
in Sweden. Welcome to GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, when are you at your best? We're analysing age and staying better for longer.
We've also got not just one, but two new Everesting world records. It's the end of an era as Chris Froome leaves Team Ineos, and we'll be telling you how sweat could power your next wearable device.
Yes, I'm expecting a very powerful device on my wrist, Dan. I trust you're back on the left, by the way.
Well, I hope you're back on the right side. Can't believe you nicked my spot last week.
Well, I can't believe you pronounced GCN wrong.
This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that the impossible is actually possible. Ralph de Sevicourt managed to ride 915.39 kilometres in just 24 hours.
That is mad, isn't it? As you might imagine, that is a new world record. Now, I don't know whether you know this, Dan, but his nickname is actually Dizzy. What I don't know is whether or not that was given to him before or after he set this record. Although unlike the previous 24-hour world record, this one was not done in a velodrome. He rode around a lake instead.
Well, I know which one I would prefer, Si, even if I might not manage 915 kilometres.
No, well, if you move the decimal place, Dan, you might be able to do it.
We also learnt this week that it is the end of an era. Chris Froome, who's the most successful rider ever from Team Sky stroke Ineos, is leaving his team of 11 years at the end of this year to move to the Israel Startup Nation.
Yeah, and if you can't wait until January 2021, here is a picture of what he might look like in his new team kit.
Well, I'm not sure he'd look quite like that. Is that not Andre Greipel's body with Chris Froome's head stuck on top of it?
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. That was the best we could do, Dan. Anyway, it wouldn't be another week in cycling if we didn't have at least one Everesting world record to talk about, and we've got two. Brilliantly, both the men's and the women's world records were broken last week, and by none other than Emma Pooley and Alberto Contador.
Yeah, things have got serious now, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Two of the best climbers that the world has ever seen, proving that they can still do it in retirement. Now, Emma chose a rather long but also very steep climb in Switzerland. She only had to cover it 10 times to do the 130 kilometres and 8,800 and something metres needed to climb.
Yeah, that is short, isn't it? 130k. Alberto Contador, meanwhile, just squeaked past Lachlan Morton by 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but he chose a 1 kilometre segment of climb in Spain that he had to do 78 reps of.
Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that Contador is once again riding that mystery bike. And apparently his Everesting record was part of the sort of last testing of it before an official release comes very shortly indeed.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Now, this week we are talking about age and when, specifically, you're at your best.
So shall we start with some of the rides we've already mentioned in the show?
Well, yeah.
Chris Froome, he is 35 years old. And then Emma Pooley and Alberto Contador are both 37.
Yeah, which is an excellent age, Dan, if I may say so.
Well, I would agree with you, since I am also in my 30s. So.
Only just?
Albeit, yeah, only for the next 4 weeks or so.
Thank you.
Anyway, Contador and Emma, of course, have just set those new world bests for Everesting. But statistically speaking, they are past their best when it comes to racing. The average age of a Tour de France winner is 28.
Yeah, although it varies considerably and has done throughout history, younger riders and older riders too. So it seems like it's down to the individual. Although, that said, there have only ever been 5 riders who have won the Tour de France at the age of 34 and only one who's won it at the age of 36. So Chris Froome, if he does make the comeback of the century and win the Tour this year, he'll be setting a new record because he'd be the only 35-year-old ever to win it.
Not looking good for him from a statistical point of view.
Well, no.
What about sprinters though? I mean, you imagine that it's a bit more clear cut with them because, well, surely they peak at an earlier age.
Well, I'd have thought that, Dan, but Killian Kelly, our ace statistician, has been crunching through the data from the last 20 years, and he's come up with this handy-looking graph, which, if you ask me, Dan, does not look clear at all.
I also had a quick look at the age of the winners of the green jersey at the Tour de France over the last few decades. So Eric Zabel, the German, won his 6th and final green jersey at the age of 31. Jamaluddin Abdujaparov at 29. But then you've got Peter Sagan, of course, who still looks like he could dominate that competition for a few years, and he is now 30.
Yeah, but you have older riders too. Robbie McEwen won his last at the age of 34, and Alessandro Patacchi was 36.
36, that
36.
number again.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the upper limit to success. Actually, no, it's not, is it? Because we have Alejandro Valverde, and he's older than me. He's now 40.
I tell you though, I do have genuine concerns for poor old Alejandro Valverde after lockdown, because I've heard it said that he's such a racer at heart that he once phoned up his director sportif to be begging to be let into a bike race after just 2 days of an altitude training camp because he was so bored. So imagine what lockdown has done to the guy.
Well, he did say during lockdown that he feels like he's getting a bit of burnout from doing indoor training and really lacking motivation. So if he has lost a bit of his form, you wonder how hard it's going to be for him to get that form back.
Well, yeah, that's it. If you lose fitness, can you get it back? I mean, technically there is everybody's favourite Davide Rebellin, who shows that you can. He obviously lost 2 years due to a doping ban at the age of 39 and bounced back and is now still going at the age of 48.
48.
Yep.
Did you know, Si, that Davide Rebellin has ridden in the same pro peloton as Sean Kelly and Tadej Pogacar? And Pogacar was 3 years away from being born when Sean Kelly retired from the sport.
Wow. That's quite a span, isn't it? Fair play to him. There's actually an example close to home here as well. A chap called Malcolm Elliott, he was a top pro in the 80s and 90s. He won the points jersey in the Vuelta and podiumed in Amstel Gold, among many other credits. Anyway, he retired at the age of 36 and then made a comeback at the age of 42 and was successful here in the UK until 50.
Which is impressive, isn't it? Although not quite as impressive as Jenny Longo, who took her last major title, the French National Time Trial Championships, at the ripe old age of 53. She had quite an unbelievable career, didn't she, that spanned over 3 decades?
She did, yeah, nice choice of word there, Dan. Now, so far, we've been very much race focused, but I tell you what, it's absolutely fascinating when you have a look at our records for all the different age categories.
Yeah, turns out you can continue to ride a bike very fast for a long time.
Yeah.
So for example, we've got Kevin Metcalf. He is the record holder for the hour in the 55 to 60 age category. He rode 49.121 kilometres. Then you have Roger Cole, who takes the record in the 65 to 70 category. He rode 44.62 kilometres. And then you have Giuseppe Marignoni. He holds the record in the over 80s with a distance a shade over 39 kilometres.
Yeah, fair play for even getting aero at that age, let alone riding at just shy of 40 kilometres in the hour. That is impressive.
Although to be fair, you can get quite naturally sort of hunched over by that point, can't you?
Well, that is a good point, yeah.
Now, in terms of when you are at your best, that's a different thing altogether. And there are quite a few examples out there, actually, of people getting faster and better as their years advance. Molly Shaffer van Houweling, the top American professor, no less, is a good example of that because she set the world hour record at the age of 42.
She did, but she then continued to get better. So she broke that record a few years later, and now she's the world record holder in the 40-40-49 category with a time that was faster than her 40 to 44 category, which is faster than her former world record.
Oh, moving on up. Maybe she became a slippery aero dork like Ollie.
Now, we have touched on sprinting prowess and your FTP, but what about like ultra endurance type athletes?
Well, we've got Dizzy, of course, from the top of the show, the new 24-hour record holder. He's 44. And then there is Keith Morikawa. You might remember him from last week's show. He's currently attempting to break the record of riding across all 48 US mainland states at the age of 60.
Yeah, and I think as we record this, Dan, he's over 29 states in and on course to tick off all 48 in a month, which is not bad going at any age, and well, really impressive at 60 rather.
It's very impressive indeed. Anyway, to summarise, I think it's safe to say there are plenty of very fast cyclists who are a bit older and plenty of slightly older role models within our sport as well. I think though, when you're at your best really depends on how fit and how well trained you were as a younger rider. But if you have been very fit, I think you are going to keep that fitness for longer, even though you probably will notice a bit of a decline.
Yeah, whether you can sustain it mentally, I guess, if you're a top athlete, that's another matter. There aren't all that many Davide Rebellins, are there? Now, if you haven't been ridiculously well trained when you're younger, then absolutely there is nothing stopping you training and improving as you get older. Or indeed, if you have been fit, training and improving again, because there's always new methods and techniques and indeed aerodynamic shortcuts you can take as well if that is your bag.
I'd be interested to hear what the viewers' thoughts on this are.
Absolutely.
Actually, whether you've been at your fittest right now at a slightly older age because you hadn't ridden much when you were younger, or if you just feel as fit as you ever have despite being a long-time cyclist. Let us know in the comments section just down below. Next up, it is of course time for your weekly GCN Inspiration. This is where we pick our favourite 3 photos that you have submitted over on the GCN app, and each of those will win a prize. So without further ado, in 3rd place this week and winning a plant-based cyclist book is Luke Sanders. He says, my 1-year-old cried all night, so I left my wife to look after it. No, I didn't. So I managed my 16-mile commute this morning on barely any sleep, but I was greeted with this epic sunrise. Getting the sunrise in straight away, Si. I
know, that is an absolute perler, isn't it? Like, you know, not your classic beauty. It looks like there's some sort of industry in the background maybe, but yeah, what a beautiful morning to be out on your push bike. And that must be early as well if that's taken at the moment. That must be, well, I suppose if you only have 1 hour's sleep, you might as well leave at the crack of dawn. I was going to say, it must have felt like a very peaceful ride after that. My word, yeah. Right then, in 2nd place and winning a Koppenberg t-shirt, a GCN baseball cap in black and white, we have this from Jordan Bikes YYC, and this got an awful lot of votes in the GCN app, so we've taken it straight from there. It's titled Head into the Storm, Come Out Stronger. Quick ride this evening, thanks mostly to accurate weather data. We confidently rode without having to worry about the storm, which, to be fair, looks exceedingly sinister. I'd be worrying about that, even with accurate weather data.
Yeah. I feel like there's something slightly arrogant about that. Like, we know what you're doing better than you do and we're not going to get wet.
Yeah.
But anyway, it does look like a beautiful picture, so
it does,
let that pass. Meanwhile, the winner of first prize this week, and therefore receiving a GCN Sit Back and Relax bundle, is Chimi. A weekend ride exploring a misty karst lake in Agam, West Sumatra. Look at that side.
That is fantastic, isn't it? Now, I did not know Western Sumatra was much of a bike destination, but that looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? We'll have to.
It does. You can't beat an amazing reflection on some still water, can you?
No, and some clouds sort of bobbling around, not quite, you know, where you'd normally expect them to be. Brilliant. There's a geographical term for that, mate, but it escapes me right now.
Oh, I did a geography degree. Anyway, don't forget to keep submitting your inspirational cycling photos to the app to put yourself in with a chance of winning one of the prizes next week.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We'll start cycling shorts with the news that in Bike Mad Belgium, e-bike sales now account for a greater percentage of total bike sales than normal slash traditional bikes.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite close, isn't it? 51% versus 49%, but nonetheless, that feels like quite a milestone.
It does.
We saw this on an article on Cycling Industry News. They've been looking at data from Lever EU, which also said that there were 3 million sales of e-bikes in 2019 alone in Europe.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, Dan, a quarter of those sales were in Germany alone, but e-bikes only accounted for 30% of total bike sales there, which suggests that it's an enormous bike buying market.
Yeah, there's a lot of bikes in Germany, don't they?
They do.
Now, I know that these latest stats might alarm the anti-e-bike brigade out there, but it won't surprise you to hear that I'm a massive fan of e-bikes. And in fact, Lorraine ordered an Orbea Kerem 30 a few weeks back. It arrived last week, and just today she has done 2 errands, a couple of miles of each, that would normally be done in the car on her new e-bike. So I think they're fantastic.
Nice. Is that your new pub bike, Dan?
Well, I thought it could be my new pub bike, but I'm not allowed anywhere near the thing.
Yeah, wise move from Lorraine, I think. Right, now moving on, completely unassisted actually, to news of Everesting.
More Everesting.
Yeah, more Everesting. But it's good this time. As impressive as Emma and Bertie's records are, they of course only Everested once. However, Logan Casper did it not just once, not 3 times, but 4 times in a single week, which is mighty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, but why did he do it?
for the hell of it, I think. So he rode 1,280 kilometres to climb the necessary almost 36,000 metres, which technically is almost as much climbing as an entire Grand Tour, where they do it for 3 weeks, of course. And fair play to him, Dan. All of them, bar one, took over 14 hours, which seems like a big week to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, your casual, 55-hour training week. It's bonkers, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to move on now to a bit of virtual racing news and the fact that at the weekend, Astana pulled their entire squad out of the virtual Tour de France.
Yeah. Why?
Phi problems, apparently. All their team are at altitude, either in Livigno or in Sierra Nevada, and they are having some internet connectivity problems, which meant they couldn't really compete.
That's mad, isn't it? Can you imagine telling Astana in January that they'd have to pull the entire team out of the Tour de France in July because of the internet? I mean, anyway, There we go. However, the internet can be good, Dan. In fact, here in the UK, Devon County Council are using the internet to fix their roads. Or more specifically, they're using Strava to target
it's brilliant, this, isn't it?
Roads. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently the council have a bit of spare money to use to upgrade their roads and the surfaces, etc.
Finally.
And the surfaces are not great, are they? And far too steep as well, for my liking. Anyway, in order to prioritise which roads they are going to use this money on, they are looking to Strava to see which the most popular ones are for cyclists, which is great.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's a good job that Porlock Hill that Hank trenched on in fact, is in Somerset, because if they'd got the impression that people fancy riding up and down that 37 times a day, they might have spent their money on resurfacing that, and no one wants to ride up that. Anyway, that is excellent news. Right, now finally in Cycling Shorts, we've got a bit of tech news. Forget solar power, Dan, we are thinking about the new batch of wearable fitness trackers that will be powered only by sweat.
Yeah, we're thinking that, Si, after reading somebody else that knows about it.
Oh yeah, to be clear, we didn't invent it.
Yeah, it's a tweet from Cycling Science, wasn't it, that links to a website called Spectrum. So apparently the experts at the Center of Wearable Sensors at the University of California in San Diego, they reckon that the next generation of wearable devices will get their fuel from the person that's wearing them. So biofuel, including sweat, which I thought was great news for you, Si, because in theory, you could probably keep your house lit and warm for an entire week just through one Zwift race.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably true, but yeah, thanks, Dan.
It is now time for Hack Bodge of the week. Don't forget you can submit all your hacks and bodges over on the GCN app. You've been voting on the ones that have been up since last week, and this is how the voting has gone. Starting with the first one, Fabian883, IKEA Besta bike wall mount. I upgraded an old IKEA Besta shelf to a bike wall mount, downsized the width of the shelf to fit the top tube and cut out some pieces to hold the bike properly. And there is the result.
Well, it looks quite neat, doesn't it?
People have had a lot of time to make their own bike storage units in lockdown, haven't they? Particular fan, actually, it's a definite hack on the top there, that Mapei cap. Yeah,
that is cool, isn't it? Yeah, you know, I'm all for an IKEA hack. I guess that is, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll go for hack as well. And 90% of people went for a hack, so it's a good job you went with the majority side.
It is indeed, yeah, it is indeed. Right, next up then, I've got this sent in by 42, a no-key chain lock. A lifesaver for teenagers or other addle-brained individuals. I like the sweeping statement about teenagers there. And or the incurably lazy among us. I mean, well, I don't quite understand that, Dan. I'm too addle-brained to...
Sorry, look at the next photo. That's one of the chain links, you can just sort of move it, so you don't actually need a lock to the padlock. But yeah, it's probably not the most secure bike lock option out there, I wouldn't imagine. So I'm going to go bodge.
I think that's a bodge as well. Well, Surely the no-key lock was invented with the combination lock gazillion years ago.
The no-key lock is just tying up a piece of rope around it, isn't it, really? Anyway, 2/3 of people agree with us, that is a bodge. Next up, Hocus Pocus. It's a wheel bag from Old Jersey. Now, we have seen a wheel bag made from various event t-shirts, which we loved before, but this one has been made by my wife, who made a wheel bag out of my old jerseys. This is the poster talking. The jersey zips help to open it wide up. And your wife has done an absolutely fantastic job with that. That is a definitive hack from me.
It is, it's very good. Although, Dan, I'm just wondering, are cycling jerseys too stretchy? You don't want a stretchy wheel bag. You kind of want it sort of like solid and padded. So hopefully it's providing adequate protection for your wheels. Certainly does look the part, which, as we know in cycling, is what, 95% of the importance anyway.
No. Well, I mean, there isn't much padding on a modern cycling aero jersey, is there? Nope. Thankfully for me, there's a bit of padding underneath it.
I'm glad you made that joke.
Right, let's move on to this one. Oh, we haven't. Well, I've said hack. 86% of people are saying hack.
Well,
next up, this from Donut Endurance, modular kids bike feature. Local church putting on a kids bike night to help children get through these hard times. And they've made this as part of the bike course, by the looks of things.
I reckon you could clear that, Dan. Steezily.
Yeah, well, I'd have great fun. I would go up round and round that quite often, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd say that's a hack, mate, 100% for me.
It looks like the profile of the climbs that Ollie used for his hour of climbing record.
Yeah, let's not go there, shall we? Should we steer clear of that bit?
Anyway, that's a hack from me and a hack from Si, and a hack from 94% of you as well.
Ooh, rightly so. Right then, next up, we got this sent in by Expresses, I think. Wall mount in style, another of my designed and 3D printed contraptions, this time printed from bamboo composite to match the wall theme. Now, that's pretty neat, Dan. As you all know out there, we're a sucker for 3D printed things. I've never heard of bamboo composite before, so that makes me even more excited. Basically, I've just got to say that's a hack.
Yeah, he's basically bribed you into saying hack there, Si, just by use of words that you like and words that you've never heard of.
He's bamboozled me, Dan, into saying hack.
Oh, goodness me. That's worse than my Wi-Fi joke. Anyways, it's a hack from you. I'll say hack as well because it does look very neat. And it is a hack from 88% of you who voted for it on the app. Nice. We've got another sort of bike storage unit of sorts that came in from Mac1. Neat storage unit, neat I'd imagine, storage unit made by my brother-in-law. No searching for equipment on the floor.
Sorry, Dan, I've got to interrupt you. Have we just put a shelf in Hack or Bodge?
Well, I was just about to declare this a bodge because we've had a lot of bike storage stuff over the last few months. But basically, he's just. I mean, there's a bit where he's managed to put his helmet and somehow he's managed to sort of wedge his shoe on the other end of the shelf. But
well, yeah, there'd be a shoe on the floor, presumably.
Yeah, so I mean, that doesn't feel like a lot of effort has gone into this hack or bodge.
No. All right, I'm glad you said bodge because that's well and truly bodge shaped as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, only 25% of other people went for bodge there, Si, but I think they maybe are a bit trigger happy. Didn't really.
Hang a minute.
I know.
75% of people said it was a hack because he made a shelf. Dan, I don't know what I could just draw your attention to these two lovely hacks behind me. They're kind of like, it's a plank of wood suspended on the wall, and I've got loads of useful stuff on it. It's brilliant.
Let's move on to Bo Velo. Trike for my truck. I made short work of transporting logs for winter storage by strapping this here rack to my granny's tricycle.
Whoa.
Not only could it carry several £100 of logs, but it also made a bodacious wheelie machine. Hi Mishi.
Wow, I tell you what, he's got a hack for using the word bodacious. That's amazing. I've not heard that for a while.
Well, that's a hack from me.
Hack from me, totally.
And a hack from 84% of you. Right, what have we got to end with, Si?
Well, we've got this one sent in by Laurie. Now that is a nice looking front wheel stand. He's called it a kicker pine. See what he's done there? Anyway, wooden post, threaded rod and wing nuts. So there we go. And hopefully that's just the right size as opposed to one of these that we had several months ago that someone had then had to put on a chair. When I mistakenly said it was perfectly sized when clearly it was on a chair.
Yeah. But, I mean, it looks like if you put too much effort into a sprint, it might just fall forwards or backwards to me. It doesn't look like
I mean, it does look terrifying, doesn't it? You better
So
hope
for-
you've got a solid trainer at the back.
So for that reason, I'm going to say Bodge.
Yeah, Bodge for me as well. But
Okay.
maybe it was one of those ones that was in the trike.
52% went for Hacks, so it was a close one, that to finish with today.
Well, there we go then. Thank you very much, as always, for submitting your hacks and bodges. We do love this part of the show. Make sure you check out the GCN app, because there's loads on there that we don't get to choose each week. And also, underneath the show, in the app, you can vote on next week's as well. Right, it is time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to win a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. Dan, I've got one on a hack behind me. It's kind of a bit like a shelf, but it's dedicated to cycling stuff.
Well, I'm just using my hand to hold it up, but yes, I have one in my hand.
Nice. Right, the photo that we gave you last week was this one, and the winner is Morgan D with juggling a water bottle while cycling. It can't be done. Can't be done. Get it?
Yeah, very,
Nice.
very, very good, I would say. Incredible
Absolutely.
use of words there. Well done, Morgan. Get in touch with us on Facebook. We'll send that bottle out to you as soon as we possibly can. We definitely could not have done better ourselves. This week's photo, once again from the archives. In fact, I don't remember exactly which race I was looking at to get this photo. But anyway, it's of Oliver Narsson on the podium with a barrel of beer.
Come on, Dan.
I'm going to get you started. Oliver, pint of beer, please. Because he's called Oliver Narsson. I did have another one because he's called Oliver. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Wow.
Actually, it's not that, is it? It's please, sir, I want some more.
Crikey, Dan.
Anyway,
It's,
choose your favourite from those three, Si.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm speechless. But anyway, if you think you can beat Dan, and I strongly suggest you can this week, stick your comment or your caption in the comment section down below, rather, and you might win a GCN Elite water bottle.
Now, we have got a whole host of great comments to go through before we get on to what's coming up on the channel in the next week. And we're going to start underneath Si's favourite video, where Ollie managed to climb more metres than he did in a single hour.
Did he? Did he really?
Starting with Sheridan Halls. The most shameless shenanigan since Lloydie pulled out an e-bike on the Anglia route. Told you I was a fan of e-bikes, didn't I?
Yes,
we also had
but
one from
I'm a fan of
Rolly
Sheridan.
Pup.
Good
We
comment.
also had one from Rolly Pup that said, if Ollie's allowed to use momentum, then I want to see the results of a BMXer doing it on a proper half pipe.
Can you imagine spending an hour on a half pipe? Crikey. That'd be
They don't
punchy,
even have
wouldn't
to
it?
pedal, do they?
Well, no.
They just use proper science to keep going.
Yeah, Andy Mitchell, he said off camera shouting, "Come on, man on!" Me, looks for someone to pass the football to.
For those that aren't into football or soccer, man on means there's somebody about to come and tackle you. Probably news to you, Si, as well, is it?
Yeah, completely.
Stephen Norwood also said, Si, what happened to don't ride where you drive? It looks like a busy hill to me, so I thought I'd ask you that question.
True that, I would not. Well, as I said in the video, I've ridden up there once in the last 8 years, but I rode up it 12 times the other day. No, and I won't go back either, because it is a rubbish hill. So I stand by it. Don't drive where you ride.
Moving on to, can you learn to ride a unicycle in a day? Another challenge for Hank. James Mappin put, can I start a petition to get James's dad on the next episode of the GCN show? What we're saying, 100 likes, and actually he's got 344 likes on that, but I only read it at the start of today's show. So
bad luck.
a bit too late to have James's dad on, but there is something in the pipeline.
Yeah, good point. Right, underneath the Commuter Hacks video, Michael Mesher said, in my case, commuting is a race because I'm always late. Okay.
I thought you would empathise with that, Si.
Well, yes, yeah. Except my race is just, it's a bit longer than I allow it time for, basically.
Right, let's tell you what's coming up on the channel over the next week. On Wednesday, we are hoping to have a season preview up. It's something I need to look into very quickly if we're going to get it up on Wednesday. But of course, the resumed season is just around the corner now. It starts, at least with the World Tour, on the 1st of August. There's a lot to get done in a 3-month period, so we're going to go through what's in that 3 months. On Thursday, the most confusing things about road cycling, and there are a lot of those, particularly when you first get into the sport, but even when you've been in it for years. On Friday, adapting your bike for adventure.
Woo, nice. On Saturday, we've got, do you really need a gravel bike? How much can a road bike do? Jeremy is tackling the wilds of Western Massachusetts to see what he can get away with. And then on Sunday, cutout versus solid saddle. So Ollie weighs up the pros and cons for a saddle with a cutout and one without. So yeah, that'd be super interesting, that one.
Right, well that brings us to a close on this week's GCN show. I am off to learn how to say GCN and also to write the season preview.
Yeah, you better be quick, mate. Not on the GCN thing. I think, well, I'd argue that the ship has probably sailed 8 years in, but no, please write the season preview quickly because well, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait.
No, it's going to be great, isn't it? Also, don't forget to get involved in the comments. Let us know when you have felt at your fittest on your bike. Was it when you were younger? Are you fitter than ever? Let us know down below.
Yeah, last thing to say is, as always, make sure you check out the GCN shop if you fancy treating yourself or someone else to something nice. And then otherwise, Dan, well, I'll hopefully see you for a season preview shortly, but to everyone else, see you here next week.